Okay, I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakat, Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who teacheth the Bible in 100% truth. And Shalom to the hopeful elect of the 12 tribes of Israel, especially the 144,000. The 12 tribes consisting of the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans in the land of the Americas, as well as the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners living amongst the other nations. Shalom to you. Okay, I'm looking again today at the controlled opposition. Something that I mentioned, I think it was the last video or the one before during the week, and you've also heard many other videos going out at the minute, in particular videos from GMS talking about controlled opposition. Now, the reason why I'm going into this again is because last night, I could have really done this video before I went to sleep actually, but I fell asleep. So I've just woken up and I just jumped to it now. But last night, looking through, you look around the world at the minute, there's, you're just watching the news at the minute. You sit down and watch the BBC News at night time. It starts around 1 o'clock in the morning. So you start flicking through that, or you just stay on the one channel and they flick you through the different news stories around the world. And it goes on repeat all through the night. You've got, the Russia-Ukraine war. They're saying that Ukraine have taken some territory away from Russia, captured some soldiers and taken, a little bit of a victory, like a small victory for Ukraine to get hold of one particular area and take over the Russians in that particular area. So that's obviously escalation of the Russia-Ukraine war. What people are saying off the back of that is that Russia, they don't really need to play this game with Ukraine. If they want to blast up Ukraine and smash it to pieces, they could straight away. But Putin's playing a game, and obviously he's got this battle going on, and anytime he wants to up the stakes, he can. And so they're saying, they're reporting that it's his small victory for Ukraine, so on and so forth, but really all you're doing is pushing Putin into a position where he's more likely to, the gloves are off. And so if Putin takes off the gloves and then, continues this battle with Ukraine, he could just pull out any artillery he wants and just annihilate that place. So obviously that's not what his plan is. He has another way around it. Ultimately, it's all the plan of the Most High. But that's what's happening there. You've got the situation in the Middle East. You've got the UK, the US, the small hats. They're all waiting for a response from Iran. You've got various type of protesting around the world. You've got the economic problems. There's all sorts going on. You've got, I saw last night, you've got doctors in India that are striking because I think it's violence or rape against doctors over there that's happening, some sort of situation where they're under threat physically. So in India, you've got doctors and nurses that have walked out on a strike, and so who's doing the care? So there's all sorts going on around the world. You go to the UK. We had the various protesting, the rioting, the protesting, due to immigration. Even that was going on this week again. When you look back, I think it was the first week of August, you had these girls were stabbed, then you had the rioting, and then the following Wednesday, on like the 7th of August, you had the people coming out in solidarity against the rioters in the UK, protesting against that. So you had two sides. That was, nearly 2 weeks ago. Well, they came out again. They may not have told you in the news, but they came out again to protest last Wednesday, the 14th. So even though no riots had taken place, and they're still coming out to protest, so you've got that situation going on. We know the situation that's been going on in America. We've been talking about that since the turn of the year. I remember since December, January times, we were talking about, I think it was December, last December, we were talking about the civil unrest in America regarding the presidential election. We know that's happening over there. And you've got all sorts of problems going on around the world. There was something going on in Australia at the minute. I couldn't quite remember. I think it was an economic collapse or something along those lines. And like I say, you watch the news at the minute, and we're starting to get to that point where, there's news from this place, news from that place, news from this place, news from that place, and none of it is good. It's all bad. It's all turmoil, and as we tell you, we look at this from the point of view of the Most High. We don't give ourselves tunnel vision and go to each individual people's perspective. We go to the perspective of the Most High. We look at everything in one go. And the Most High is showing us prophecy, and we tell you that this is all prophecy coming to pass. It's prophecy, major prophecy of judgment, World War III, civil unrest happening around the world. And that's the time we're in. It's starting to build, and we're in the beginning of sorrows. And the major thing that this leads to is the introduction of the MOTB, Revelation chapter 13. A digital device placed under the skin in order to buy, sell, in order to track you, and in order to hold all your records, your information of who you are. So, you've got these, for example, you've got these people that are involved in illegal immigration, so on and so forth. You've got traffickers that are trafficking people across borders into other countries. This is a lot of the uproar we're seeing in the UK, in America, for example. And what these traffickers do is, if you pay the money and you say, I want to get across the border, I want to get into UK, I want to get into this country or that country or wherever, the first thing the trafficker is doing, he's telling you need to lose your documents. Because your documents tell you who you are, and if you go to this other government, you get caught, they're going to know where you're from, they're going to know who you really are, whether you have a criminal background, whether you have this background, that background, so they tell you, lose the documents, and then we'll transport you across the border. You still have your identity within you, so in your mind, so you know who you are. Just to give you an example, my grandmother, she didn't follow that. She didn't come out here through being an illegal immigrant into the UK, but she came from a time when they didn't have paper records. So even if I ask her, when's your birthday, which year were you born, she doesn't really know. She thinks it's either this one, which is one of two choices. But you see, the ultimate way to get around this problem is the MOTB, the biometric device placed under the skin. They've had biometrics, through your fingerprint, facial recognition, through the iris scan, eye scan. And the ultimate device would be to have a device under your skin that you cannot get rid of, that you cannot just cut out and pull off and get rid of. And so, whether you try to lose your paperwork and get across the border, doesn't make any difference to the powers that be. They scan the device under your skin. They know who you are. They know whether you have a criminal past. They know where you're from. You see, these powers that be, they've been issued, up until now, they've always issued you with paper certificates, paper documentation. They might even go as far as giving you a plastic card to tell you that's your driver's license, that's your identification card. All this information is going to be put into a device, according to Revelation chapter 13, and put under your skin. So you try to get across the border, and they catch you. They say, well, who are you? Where are you from? You say, I'm a refugee, I just need help. They say, no. We want to know who you are, where you're from. And that having that device under the skin will allow them to scan it, find out who you are, and send you back. So this is where they want to go We know this, and in the meantime, in between time, they are giving us order out of chaos. They're going to create chaos around the world. The worldwide economic geopolitical system is going to collapse and break down. And all these individual governments around the world are pretty much going to be replaced by a one world government and one world order. And that government will govern the whole world. And they won't require barbed wire or fences at the border. They just have to know where you are through being able to track and trace you through the device under your skin. The replacement for all that paper technology. So they're going to bring down the system. We know this is according to scriptures. We're seeing it happen. And I came across this particular information last night. Now, this is the protest in Caracas as Venezuela's opposition calls for a worldwide protest. So, you've had all these protests going on around the world so far. In the UK, you've got people like Tommy Robinson, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is rousing up the people in America. Yeah, he's an ex-president. He's not just any old guy off the street. And he's running for election again. But yet he's somebody he's what's known as a divisive person. And so what you do with a divisive person, you put them in front of the people and you make things divisive. Donald Trump's the type of person, you either love him or hate him. So, you'll say, I'm going to go on holiday, I'm going to sit on the beach, I'm going to relax and take some time off. That seems like a good idea to do. When Donald Trump says, I'm going to go to the beach, I'm going to take some time off, I'm going to relax, all of a sudden, some people out there in the world, they'll say, that's a terrible idea. Why is it a terrible idea? Well, that's what Donald Trump wants to do. Why would you do that? Why would you go to a beach and sit down and relax? Where's the good in that? You see, this is how people are around Donald Trump. He's that type of person. Wherever he is, whatever the situation is, people love him or hate him, he's divisive. So he'll tell you something sensible, but because people don't like him, they'll say, no, that's a terrible idea, don't do that. Even though they were about to do that themselves. But now Donald Trump wants to do it. No, it's a horrible idea. Then you have the opposites. You have the ones that love him, that, he riles them up. He gets their blood pumping, and they stand there with their rifles and they say, yeah, we're going to make America great again. So you have these various people around the world. Now you've got you can see here on screen. I'll leave the link for this. I mean, you'll probably find it. All you've got to do is type it into YouTube. You don't have to go very far. This is the opposition to the Venezuela government calling for worldwide protests. So you've seen it in the UK, you've seen it in America, you've seen it in various places around Europe, around the world. Now they're calling for this on a worldwide level. Now this is what goes back into what I said the other day. Controlled opposition. That's what all these people are. Controlled opposition. Before I get into it, this is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. This is talking of the day of the Lord. This is Apostle Paul speaking to the church of Thessalonica. It says here, but of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. So the day of the Lord is coming, and to those that are awake, we see it coming, but to some it comes as a thief in the night. It comes as something unexpected, something that you were not ready for. Just on that point, you go to the scriptures, just going into the blue letter here, typing in the word night and thief. You've got Job 24:14, the murderer rising with the light killeth the poor and needy, and in the night is as a thief. And then it goes on to give you 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, 2 Peter chapter 3, where the coming of Yahushua, the day of the Lord, is described as a thief in the night. Even if you just type in the word thief, You've got various scriptures, the book of Revelation 16, Revelation chapter 3, I will come on thee as a thief. 2 Peter, 1 Peter 4, we've had that, 1 Thessalonians, John. So there's many scriptures where, the coming, the return of Yahushua, the day of the Lord, is described as a thief, coming as a thief or as a thief in the night. And that's something that happens unexpectedly. And that's to the people who aren't paying attention to prophecy, who aren't watching what we're watching. It says, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So there the Lord is coming as a thief in the night. There's going to be a point at which they tell you peace and safety, but that's when the sudden destruction cometh upon them. It says it as travail upon a woman with child, as they shall not escape. I believe it's in the book 2 Ezra's chapter 16. It speaks of a similar thing, the troubles that are going to come in upon the world, upon the society, upon the ruling elites. They're compared to the travail upon a woman who's about to give birth. So when a woman gives birth, the pain, the intensity, it starts to build up, and it builds and it builds and it builds, and it gets to a point where you in this pressure cooker scenario, and that's usually when the baby then gets delivered, and there's nothing you can do to stop this process. Once it starts to take hold, you can't pause, you can't hold it back, you can't wait till tomorrow. It happens at this particular moment. I remember when my child was born, and I was getting ready to go to work, and I said to the wife, are you sure I got to go to work? I'm doing a night shift. And all day she was like, no, it's fine. You can go to work tonight. It's cool. And then we'll see what happens tomorrow. And so all day I was just like, I don't know, sleeping, hanging around, doing whatever. And then it got to about 4:00 in the afternoon. And then it got to 5. And then I was getting ready thinking, I'm going to go to work soon. And then she said to me, no, listen, we need change your plans. This baby's coming now. And I said to her, are you sure? And you're looking at her face, you can tell, when it's coming, that's it, And at that moment, and I remember saying to her, you sure? Look, I could go to work. Don't make me, if I'm going to miss going to work, I'm going to miss out on money. But, so, if you're telling me not to go to work, are you really, really sure? And they'll look at you dead in the eye, they'll say, this is that moment. So there's no mistaking it for the woman. And she feels that travail, she feels the start of it. They know it's different to whatever they felt before. And then at that point, they say, no, this is it. And then, then you have a process where, that for me, we got to the hospital and the baby was there within 20 minutes. Some people could go through that travail, the birth pains. Some women go through it for 24 hours, 48 hours till that baby is actually delivered. Who knows? So you can't put a time limit on it, and this is how the end times are being described as in the scriptures. It says, and they shall not escape. So for when they say peace and safety, who's they? They, the powers that be. They, the ones that are going to issue you with the MOTB. They, the ones that are bringing the order from the chaos. They create the chaos, which they're doing now at the minute. Collapse the economic system. We've got war going on around the world. Uproars of the people. You've got these examples of controlled opposition. So that is they. The powers that be, they. They create the chaos, uproars of the people. Imagine if the whole world just gets up today and starts protesting. Nothing could be done. Nothing will get done. And everything will come to a standstill. But this is what they're trying to do. While the governments are on one hand keeping control of everything, and they say, we're the governments, we're here to make sure everything's good for you, and we're doing the best we can. pay your taxes and we'll fix everything for you. But on the other hand, they pay people to go into society and create a fuss and an uproar, call for worldwide protests. And so when the people get confused and there's a lot of talking, a lot of tumult, a lot of noise, how are you going to fix this? These people are all pointing out these ways in which our society is failing us. You, the government, are supposed to be the one in charge of that. What are you supposed to do? What are you going to do about it? And that's when they shall say peace and safety. They'll say peace and safety in terms of taking this MOTB. We've got everything under control. We put this device under your skin. We don't have to patrol borders. When the man comes across the boat as an immigrant, a legal immigrant, we catch him. We don't know if he's a criminal. We don't know if he's a terrorist. We don't know if he's a true refugee. So he says he lost his paper in the water. It doesn't matter now, because now we got a device under your skin. We scan you. We know who you are. And that's when the people say, oh, yes, peace and safety, peace and safety. Everybody should take this device. We'll be able to lock down the borders. There'll be multiple things. We'll be able to stop having our money stolen off of us, because we won't have cash and we can buy or sell. We won't need keys. Nobody can steal money off each other, because you'd have to cut their hand off to take the device out of their hand. How's that going to work? It's not going to work. So you can't walk into the shop with somebody's hand hanging off, pouring with blood on the floor. Oh, can I just scan this? So there's going to be, multiple avenues for taking that MOTB and them telling you peace and safety. Like I say, one major factor is, with all this illegal immigration going on around the world, these immigrants, whether they do it themselves or whether the traffickers do it, along the route, they lose their paperwork, they lose their passport, they lose their identity. Maybe they're criminals, maybe they're murderers coming from where they are. Maybe they escaped imprisonment and they're getting across the border and they get to the UK and they say, I'm a refugee, sir, can you help me? And, the UK have got no way of verifying it. But they would if every single human on the planet Earth had a device under the skin which told them who you are. And when we go to Revelation chapter 13, it speaks of that. It says as if for them, but then peace and safety, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. So that's when we have the return. We always say, within the time that they make the MOTB mandatory, within a week or two, you shouldn't expect it to go on for too long. We'll have the return of Yahweh Shai, that ultimate destruction. It says, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So what you're seeing now, the beginning of sorrows, you're just going to see a slowly build up and intensify the troubles, the anxiety around the world, the uproars of the people, the problems, the lack of money, the lack of love. This is all going to intensify and increase and keep going and building, especially over the next year, next 10 months. It says here, but ye brethren are not in darkness, that the day should not overtake you as a thief. It says, ye are all the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. It says, for they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. But let us, who are of the day, be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and helmet the hope of salvation. It says here, for the Most High have not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by our Lord Yahweh Shai, the Anointed. And how do you know that? By knowing this truth, by understanding prophecy, by seeing it, clear as day. That's why we are the children of the light. You have our people, for example, you got people like us that are Israelites that follow IUIC. Now, IUIC don't warn them of the MOTB. They leave that major prophecy out and don't teach it correctly. Now, because of that, they can't warn you of the build-up to it. They can't warn you of all the reasons why the MOTB is going to be issued to the world. And so with that lack of knowledge, that lack of build-up, that lack of building the faith to work against it, ultimately those following the leader of IUIC are, they are children of light. They are the same as us, but they don't have the light at the minute. So they're drunk. They are, sleeping in the night, and they're drunken. And so ultimately they're going to, fall by the wayside when it comes to this destruction. It says, but let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and helmet the hope of salvation. Because we need faith when it comes to the MOTB, because when you get told you can't buy or sell without it, how are you going to eat? Are you really going to believe that the Lord was going to be coming back very soon after that point? And so this is the point at which your faith is really tested. For the Most High have not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by our Lord Yahushua the Anointed, who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, we should live together with him. It says, wherefore comfort yourselves together and edify one another, even as also ye do. So, we're waiting for this, the day of the Lord, and we know in the meantime, the problems that are happening around the world, is as travail upon a woman with child. The problems that, the pain, the birth pains, you're going to see problems around the world. They're going to intensify. They're going to increase in consistency. They're going to be happening all over the world. We're seeing that, the start of that now. And it's all leading us to chaos, a very huge moment of chaos. And that's when the powers that be, the New World Order, the people carrying out this great reset, that's when they will say to you, peace and safety. We have the MOTB. Take this. But we know not to take it, because then destruction cometh upon them. And so that's why you have to have the faith to know that part, to know I'm not going to take it, this MOTB. So Apostle Paul was talking to Church of Thessalonica. It says the church in Thessalonica was planted by Paul along with his ministry partners. It says here Silas, Silvanus and Timothy, 1 Thessalonians 1:1. This occurred during Paul's secondary mission journey, recorded in Acts 17:1-15. So what was the church in Thessalonica known for? An expressive church. It says the Thessalonians were consistent in living out, expressing the spiritual virtues granted to them in the anointed, in Christ, which means anointed. They put a capital C for Christ as if it's a name. It's not. It's just an adjective word. It's just a descriptive word. It just means anointed. That's why I won't say it, because then you'll think, well, why is he not saying it? It's not a name. It just means anointed. So it says here the Thessalonians were consistent in living out, expressing the spiritual virtues granted to them in the anointed. Paul's commendation of this church, as he remembered them, was centered around their work of faith and labor of love and steadfastness of hope in the Lord Yahushua the Anointed. So they're an expressive church. They're consistent in living out, expressing the spiritual virtues granted to them. And so when it's talking of faith, the day of the Lord, knowing that when they, like I say, you're going to see this trouble, and people are going to think, maybe not us, but other people out in the world, they're going to think, well, what's the answer? All the trouble, the world is upside down. What's going to be the answer to this? That's when the governments, the powers that be, they say to you, peace and safety. We have this thing called the MOTB. You place it under the skin. We will get a warning 24 hours in advance of you getting sick. When we find an immigrant in the water and he's lost his papers, don't worry, we'll scan him and we'll know where he's from. You know, we won't have to pay people to patrol the borders, because we'll sit up in our offices and watch our computer screens, and we'll know we'll be able to track and trace you. We don't have to spend all this money chasing criminals. We just go right to their location and find them. You know, we don't have to worry about people stealing our money, our gold, our coins, anything anymore, because all our money is digital. You don't have to carry around your license and your passport, your birth certificate. All that is incorporated in your device under the skin. I mean, check this one out, right? You go online, you go on YouTube, and you just see so many modern day cars being stolen. They make these modern day cars, all this power, all this technology, yet you can steal the car within 20 seconds. You know, you go back to like the 60s, 70s and 80s, people used to, hotwire cars. You know, you break the box that's underneath the steering wheel around the ignition, you find two wires, you connect them together, you start the car. Then you get to 90s, 2000s. You know, you try and steal a Mercedes from the year 2000, you can't steal them. You know, I've had plenty of Mercs around that era, and you can't, with the infrared key, the technology that's in the key, you need the key to take the car. There's no other way to take the car. But now, fast forward another 20 years, it seems like in the last 5-10 years, all these cars that they make are very easy to steal. And there's all these ninjas running up on people's driveways, taking cars within 20-30 seconds. This is another epidemic that's taken over around the world. In London, I heard the other day in London, you can't even get insurance on a Range Rover because they're the most stealable cars. And apparently 85% of the cars that get stolen in London are Range Rovers, modern day, brand new ones. And so why are these brand new cars with all this technology so easy to steal? It's because they're allowing the epidemic to occur. And when you're fed up of having your car stolen for the 5th, for the 6th time, you can't own nothing nice anymore. You buy a nice car, it's going to get stolen. So what's the answer? The MOTB. Because only you will be able to start your car with your hand. So now the thief has to come into your house, basically murder you, cut your hand off, and then he can walk out, get in the car, unlock the car, take the car. So do you see what's happening in society? You live in this modern day society where technology is so great, but the security on cars are very flimsy. And it's all part of the MOTB, order out of chaos. I'm fed up with my car being stolen. What's the true answer? The true answer is an MOTB in your hand, and you will be the only person who can access your car. So when they tell you that is the peace and safety from the trouble, the order out of chaos we're seeing now, these controlled opposition telling us to go out and protest all around the world, that's when they bring in the peace and safety, the MOTB. But we have to remember, we have to live out. It's all good me telling you this, but you now got to go and live out what I'm telling you. When they issue you with the MOTB, you have to say, no, I have the faith. And they're going to say to you, well, how are you going to eat? How do you think you're going to eat if you don't take this? Oh, don't worry, the Lord's going to save me. And they're going to laugh at you. People are going to laugh at you. They're going to say, you need this thing. And everybody's going to run and grab it. And you're going to be, of small number of people trying to avoid it. And that's your chance to really show the Lord at that moment. Yeah, I'm consistent in living out and expressing the spiritual virtue that you have granted in me by giving me the understanding. And when you go to the word virtue, it says here, behavior showing high moral standards. And that's what we have, through the Spirit. We have high moral standards, and when you go to Revelation, is it 14? Or no, is it 7? Talks about the 144,000. It says that these men are virgins and not defiled by women. The women are philosophies. So we're not defiled by philosophies of these other people. And when you look at the bottom here for the word virtue, it says here virginity or chastity, especially of a woman. So the virginity of a woman is her virtue. And in the book of Revelation, it says that 144,000 are virgins, not defiled by other philosophies. They're virgins because they have virtue. And so takes you back to being like the church of Thessalonica, express that virtue that you've been granted by, you've got this stuff going around in your mind, but nobody can see it. It's just going around in your head. You get out and you go and live your life tomorrow. You're in the Spirit of the Most High. All these precepts popping off in your brain. No one can see that. It's just you. They just see you. But then you have to go and express it by actually living out what you're shown. We keep telling you there's many Israelites out there that call themselves Israelites, but you don't see anything coming out of them to tell me that you're a Hebrew Israelite. What is it that I'm supposed to look at you and say, well, this dude's a Hebrew Israelite just because of your skin color? Yeah, but you could be a Hamite. So what does that mean? So show me something. I can't speak the best Paleo Hebrew. Maybe I don't. You see me. I'm not always in Paleo Hebrew garments. But you can tell I'm a Hebrew Israelite because I know my people's history. And our book, I'm able to break it down and go through it and work through it. So there you go. I just showed you. Prove to me you're a Hebrew Israelite. Well, I just took our book and I showed you what it means. And so what else do you want? You like, for example, you live in the UK. If I come across a Chinese man, the Chinese man, yeah, he dresses like the white man. Yeah, he talks like the white man. But there's something about him I'm going to work out. This dude's Chinese. Maybe when he sits down to eat lunch and I look at that food, I go, yeah, he's Chinese because he keeps eating Chinese food. Or something about him is going to, even though he follows a westernized culture, he's westernized, he's, something about him is going to show that where he actually comes from. He's still got these traits. But, this all goes back to Revelation chapter 13. 2 horns like a lamb that spake as a dragon. Revelation 13 and 11 says, and beheld, another beast came up out of the earth. He had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. This represents the modern day system, the democratic system. You're dealing with the beast, which has 2 horns like a lamb. And so the 2 horns like a lamb represent the political parties within the democratic system. And it says it, and he spake as a dragon, spoke in draconian form with draconian measures and laws. So you watch these political powers, you watch politicians, and then what do you have opposite to politicians? You have their opposition. It goes back to the 2 horns spake as a lamb, which came off the same beast, that political democratic system. This is Wikipedia. It says it in politics, the opposition comprises one or more political parties or other organized groups that are opposed to the government, or in American English, the administration, party or group in political control of a city, region, state, country, or other political body. The degree of opposition varies according to political conditions. For example, in authoritarian and democratic systems, opposition may be respectively repressed or desired. Members of an opposition generally serve as antagonists to other parties. So you always have a government in rule wherever you go. If you go to a country, they have a political party, a government in control. They might get voted out, and a new one gets voted in, and then the new one takes over. You never really have a period where there's nobody in control. But then you'll always have opposition to those. And it says here, generally serve as antagonists. So that's what you do. As an opposition, you're not in power. They're in power. They have the control. So your job then as an opposition is to antagonize. And when you antagonize people, you wind them up. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Vocab Malone is just an antagonist. He doesn't have anything factual to tell the men of GMS. He doesn't have anything to cut them with. He doesn't have anything to override them with. But he just wants to antagonize. And that's why he comes out with megaphones and acts like a 10-year-old. It says here, scholarships focusing on opposition politics did not become popular or sophisticated until the mid-20th century. Recent studies found that popular unrest regarding the economy and quality of life can be used by political opposition to mobilize and demand change. And that's what these people are doing at the minute. But the fact that they're all doing it together at the same time, they're opposition, but we believe they've been controlled by somebody. That's why they're all stepping up at the same time, demanding change. So scholars have debated whether political opposition can benefit from political instability and economic crisis. While some conclude the opposite, case studies in Jordan align with mainstream thought in that political opposition can benefit from instability. Because, when things are going wrong, that's when they come out and they say, oh, look, this is all wrong. It says, while case studies in Morocco display a lack of oppositional mobilization in response to instability. In the Jordan case study, scholars reference opposition increasingly challenge those in power as political and economic instability proliferated, whereas the opposition in Morocco did not mobilize on the instability. They just go on into the details of oppositions to governments. Now, what we want to know here is controlled opposition, because you have different types of opposition. You have genuine opposition, and then you have controlled opposition. Genuine opposition is just what you just genuinely see something, you don't like it, you're opposed to it. But some people don't really care. They don't have an opinion, but then they get paid or they get told to be the opposition so that you can create a back and forth argument, and then you can present the answer out of that. That's order from chaos. It says here, controlled opposition is the use of black propaganda and saboteurs who claim to oppose a particular faction but are in fact working for the faction. One alleged example is the Serbian party Oath Keepers SHZ, led under their president Milica Đurić, who claim to be opposed to the Serbian Progressive Party. So so it goes on from there. So now this is what we're looking at: controlled opposition. Controlled opposition is the use of black propaganda and saboteurs. So let's look up, hang on. Let's get rid of this. So black propaganda, let's look up this one now. Black propaganda is a form of propaganda. You should know what propaganda is. Intended to create the impression that it is created by those it is supposed to discredit. Black propaganda contrasts with grey propaganda, which does not identify its source, as well as white propaganda, which does not disguise its origins at all. It is typically used to vilify or embarrass the enemy through misrepresentation. A major characteristics of black propaganda is that the audience are not aware that someone is influencing them and do not feel that they are being pushed in a certain direction. So all these people that are getting riled up by these people calling for protests around the world, you're not aware that it's black propaganda. You're not aware that the person speaking and riling you up is controlled opposition. You're not aware that you're being pushed in a certain direction. So you say, oh, because you're not aware of it, it's not real. But it's telling you here a major, not a minor, a major characteristic of black propaganda is that the audience are not aware that someone is influencing them, and they do not feel they are being pushed in a certain direction. Black propaganda purports to emanate from the source other than the true source. This type of propaganda is associated with covert psychological operations, PSYOPs. Sometimes the source is concealed or credited to a false authority and spread lies, fabrications and deceptions. Black propaganda is the big lie, including all types of creative deceit. Black propaganda relies on the willingness of the receiver to accept the credibility of the source. So basically, if you're dumb and you just take anything on board, you're probably just going to accept the black propaganda and say, yeah, it's got to be right. And that's what these people are. All these people jumping up and protesting and, following the queue, joining on the queue, to the back of the queue to do the protesting, whatever it's for. You are, they accept the credibility of the source without checking it. It says, if the creators or senders of the black propaganda message do not adequately understand their intended audience, the message may be misunderstood, seem suspect, or fail altogether. And that's what happens to us. We look at it and we suspect it, and in our minds, the black propaganda fails because we have the Spirit working on us. We are the children of lights. We have the lights. We are not drunk in the night. We are not sleeping in the night. We are the children of light, and we can see. Governments conduct black propaganda for a few reasons. By disguising their direct involvement, a government may be more likely to succeed in convincing an otherwise unbelieving target audience. Now, if the governments come out today and say to you, take this MOTB under the skin, and this is the way forward, some people will go for it, but a lot of people will reject it. So the government need to do something to convince an otherwise unbelieving target audience, the world, that they must take this device under their skin. So they create the problems and they let them develop. They let them get really bad. People say, why are the police letting these people steal so much stuff? Why? So that they can tell you the answer to this is a device under your skin. And you are unaware of the black propaganda. It says black propaganda is necessary. Sorry, I missed this bit. There are also diplomatic reasons behind the use of black propaganda. Black propaganda is necessary to obfuscate a government's involvement in activities that may be detrimental to its foreign policies. So that's what America do. They got a set of foreign policies. We love, we help everybody. We want to do this, we want to do that. But sometimes you have people out there that don't want to play with America. So what America do is they create black propaganda. They get the regime changed. They get a change of control. Whoever's controlling the power in the opposition, they get it changed. But they do it in secretive, because when they're forced to change, it doesn't coincide with their foreign policy of being democratic. See, America is saying you've got a choice, but behind closed doors you don't have a choice. And so when they make things happen behind closed doors, they don't want you to see it, because really it takes away from you having the choice. It's them just manipulating everything. It takes you back to Revelation chapter 17. So, from there, let's look up psychological warfare. So psychological warfare, or the basic aspects of modern psychological operations, PSYOPs, has been known by many other names or terms, including military information support operations, PSYOPs, political warfare, hearts and minds, and propaganda. The term is used to denote any action which is practiced mainly by psychological methods with the aim of evoking a planned psychological reaction in other people. So what's the opposition leader in Venezuela saying to you? The whole world needs to stand up and protest. This is a psychological operation. They're working on the minds of you people to get you worked up. And when you're so angry and you're so fed up and you want answers, they will say to you, take the device under the skin. Peace and safety. But we're not going to take it because we then know sudden destruction comes immediately after that. You know, those taking the scriptures talking about those take the MOTB under the skin, you will receive a grievous sore, cancerous sore. Who knows how your body's going to react to taking that? And you know, even though you take it, a lot of people in society are still not going to take it. There's still going to be chaos. There's going to be all sorts of madness going on. You know, once you take the device under your skin, you know, these drones will track you and walk you back to your secluded area. You know, you try and walk out free somewhere, and the drone hits you, you know, flies up above you. It reads your device. It says that, you know, I can detect such and such pestilence on you, and you're out of your certain zone that you're allowed to be in. You need to move back to your zone, and it will escort you back. If it doesn't, it might, you know, who knows what it might do. It might start shooting at you. So yeah, this is this all goes back to this MOTB. It says various techniques are used and are aimed at influencing a target audience's value system, belief system, emotions, motives, reasoning, or behavior. It is used to induce confessions or reinforce attitudes and behaviors favorable to the originator's objectives, and are sometimes combined with black operations or false flag tactics. So this is exactly what we've been telling you for all this time now. The events that you're starting to see happen, this is, you know, it's all controlled by the banking elites. They have a main agenda, which they want to, you know, get to that particular point. And so in the meantime, they're going to collapse the system, and that involves influencing people's belief system, their emotions, their motives, their reasoning, or their behavior. And we told you, you know, that they're going to use black operations, black ops, or false flag events to bring this about. It says it is also used to destroy the morale of the enemies through the tactics that aim to depress troops' psychological states. So even, you know, when they try to take Donald Trump's life, you know, people are, you know, they're worked up about it. How dare you do that? You know, Donald Trump is the answer. He's the future. He's the Make America Great Again. And so, you know, it's psychologically working on the Trump supporters. If they actually take him out again now, that's when you'll see them really explode and, you know, go to the streets. Who knows, that might not happen. They might keep him alive. They might just keep Kamala in there, you know, make a reason why she can't come out of power or whatever, you know, if Biden goes, who knows? We don't really need to worry about it too much. We'll watch it and we'll follow the pattern, and we'll explain what we're seeing as we see it. But we understand the ultimate goal is to bring about the MOTB. I'm not going to go any more into that. But yeah, black operation. A black operation or black ops is a covert or clandestine operation by a government agency, a military unit, or parliamentary organization. It can include activities by private companies or groups. Key features of a black operation are that it is secret and it is not attributable to the organization carrying it out. So, you know, that's how it seems in the world. But, you know, we have that iSalve. We're able to sit here in our, you know, on our own. I'm able to sit here and break down all the plans of these New World Order elites, and we're able to see through the lies that we're told. The black operations, we're able to decipher between what's reality and what's not, and we're able to tell you that they're just bringing about order out of chaos, the MOTB. We do that by going through the scriptures and having the Holy Spirit working on us. That gives us the ability to see into the future And that's why, these Edomites, these elites are scared. They know they're going to have to do this quick, because we're waking up. We've woken up to this, and we're telling people. And we should not be overtaken by the thief in the night. All praises to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai for the understanding of that. So, the only thing, I'll leave you with this one, right? So you know what Black Operation is, Black Ops, Black Propaganda, controlled opposition. We know what all that is now. We understand it. But I can't give you a list of people who are part of that system. These people are making it a secret, so they don't publish lists of who's involved in black operations or in controlled opposition around the world. You have to work that out through the ISALV. When you go back to Acts chapter 17, this talks of Apostles Paul's visit to Thessalonica, and after that he left there and he went on to Berea. Acts 17:10, it says, and the brethren immediately sent away Paul and Silas by night unto Berea. I'm not going to read the whole chapter, but you can read it if you want. It says, who coming thither went into the synagogue of the Jews. These were more noble than those in Thessalonica, the ones in Berea, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind, and searched the scriptures daily, whether those things were so. It says, therefore many of them believed, also of honourable women, which were Greeks, and of men not a few. So when it's talking about Greeks, these are women that didn't know that they're Israelites. Now Paul has come to them and told them, look, you're Israelites. You have when Paul goes to the synagogue, he meets Jews. These are Israelites that know they're Israelites. He comes to tell them, look, the anointed is Yahweh Shai, and that's where we're at now. But then he also comes across Israelite foreigners who live according to the customs and the identification of the other nations. Just like we're doing today, we wake you up, we tell you, look, you're not English, you're not American, you're not French, you're not African, you're not Canadian, you're not German, you're not Brazilian, you're an Israelite, and this book pertains to you. And it's the same thing that he was doing then. So when it says that he honourable women which were Greek, this is not of other nations. These are Israelite women of the same nation of Paul, which are obviously living according to the customs of the Greeks. It says, and of men not a few. But when the Jews of Thessalonica had knowledge that the word of the Most High was preached of Paul at Berea, they came thither also, and stirred up the people. And then immediately the brethren sent away Paul to go, as it were, to the sea. But Silas and Timotheus abode there still. And they that conducted Paul brought him unto Athens, and to receiving a commandment unto Silas and Timotheus for to come to him all speed, they departed. But what it is, Paul, like when you read up at the top here, for example, he goes to Thessalonica, and some weren't happy with him. It says here, and this is Acts 17:8, and they troubled the people and the rulers of the city when they heard these things, because Apostle Paul came and started pretty much preaching the word of Yahweh Shai. It says here, but the Jews which believed not, moved with envy, took unto them certain lewd fellows of the baser sort, and gathered a company, and set all the city on an uproar, and assaulted the house of Jason, and sought to bring them out to the people. So they created an uproar, a controlled opposition. They said, well, you know what, we don't like what we're doing. And then they went there, just like they're doing today. They got there, we need to protest against these people because they're preaching the word of this Yahweh Shai dude, and we're not having it. And so obviously it goes back into that uproar of the people. And it says 17:8, it says they troubled the people and the rulers of the city when they heard these things. And when they had taken security of Jason and other, they let them go. So then from there, Paul had to go to Berea. And the brethren immediately sent away Paul and Silas by night unto Berea, who coming thither went into the synagogue of the Jews. So when he goes on to Berea, what are Berea known for? They're known for double checking what Paul told them. So when you ask me, who's on the list of controlled opposition, this is where you now have to be like the Church of Berea. You have to go and work it out. I can't give you a list of everybody, and I can't, there's no official list. But you work it out. Donald Trump, he's obviously controlled opposition. Tommy Robinson, Katie Hopkins. Now you've got the opposition of the government in Venezuela. She's clearly controlled opposition. Who is she telling me? You're in Venezuela and you're all the way over there and you're telling me in the UK that I should be protesting. The whole world needs to protest. I don't need to listen to her. My life's completely different to hers. But what it is, people are getting, this controlled opposition. People are getting carried away with it. And we're heading for major uproars of the people. So now you have to be like the Church of Berea, because you have to check yourself. You're going to watch the news tonight, and I don't know who you're going to see. I can't sit there with you and say, well, he's controlled opposition, he's not, he's genuine, he's cool. You've got to work it out. And that's where you have to be like the Church of Berea. You stay in the scriptures. By doing that, the Holy Spirit stays around you in abundance. Yeah, it's always with you, but when you're in the book, it's really there working. And you look at the news, you keep going back to scriptures, you keep looking at the news, and it will all start to come together. That's if the Holy Spirit's working with you. If it's not, then then you're probably a anathema maranatha, set up for destruction. The same way you set up, brand new kitchen cupboards and worktop for a kitchen, you set up a body kit on a car. Many people out there are going to be set up with this MOTB. Take that, go into the society and use that to live. And, these people, as well as many others, are going to be set up for destruction. Anathema Maranatha. So I'm going to leave it right there. Until next time, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kwadash. And I hope that was edifying. Until next time, Shalom.